I thought we'd start the workshop weekly update video in the engine building bay today. So this is a 4.6 stage 3 engine that's on its way over to the States. So we've got larger inlet and exhaust valves, we've got full porting on the intake. What you can't see is the waste material or extra cast material that sits behind the valve seat. That's been fully removed as well for better airflow. And also on the exhaust ports are actually where the biggest amount of porting is done. So this is destined for, what is this destined for? Let's find the build spec for it. This is destined for a Morgan Plus 8 over in Florida. So, Kent full vernier, Piper 285 camshaft, 4.6 bottom end, stage 3 cylinder heads, ready to rock and roll. Obviously it'll be going out with ignition upgrades and the ECU chip as well. Holly's also now started a 3.9 engine here, so ALP main stud kit. All of our 3.9 and 3.5 bottom ends are built up with ALP main stud kits to increase the integrity of the bottom end, because the mains caps can have a tendency to walk on the standard bolts because the shoulder length on the bolt the diameter of it isn't full diameter for the whole length, which means the mains caps can walk on them. We also obviously use ALP big end stud kits as well. Quite a few engines now about to be built. So we've got the Morgan one, 4.6 stage 3 that we've just talked about. We've got the 3.9 we just started there, another 3.9 here, another 3.9 there, quite a few 3.9s on the go at the moment, and then lastly another 4.6, which again is going over to the States. That one's going over to California, just as a short engine, that one though. So Holly's quite busy at the moment. In the workshop, we've got the 50th anniversary that is destined for Australia. This one has, we're hoping to get the engine started this week, but because it's been sat for so long, we've been flushing the fuel system out. Decided to actually have the tank out, which was a good idea because we discovered very, very rotten fuel lines up to the fuel pump. One of them actually split through just when the tank was dropped down enough to try and undo these, but there was no way they were going to come undone. As you can see, they're in very poor state. The rest of the pipes on the car are actually in quite good condition from the filter. So we fitted a brand new filter forwards because everything's been undersealed, so they've been treated. And the return line from the joiner here forwards is good. But obviously return line to the pump here needs replacing, and from the filter to the pump as well, that needs replacing. So new fuel pump on order. The tank's been completely cleaned. Externally, easy to do. Internally as well, it's all been cleaned out. Quite a lot of grub in there from what Florin was telling me. It seems the fuel pipe from the pump to the filter is available genuine, new. However, the pipe from the return joiner to the pump isn't available new anymore. So in chatting with the customer, I think we're actually going to maybe run braided lines here. We're going to look to see if we can get the unions once I've got the new pump in my hand to measure the thread off of here. Obviously we can measure the thread on the fuel pump and on the return line joiner, and then actually run braided lines. So that will be a nice little bit there, and obviously if other people are interested in changing these lines, we'll then be able to offer the kits to do that. We've got a nice channel cut out in the tank here where the original pipes ran, where the braided lines will fit nicely, so nothing will get trapped between the tank and the body of the car. But it does stop us starting the engine at the moment. We will get there. All these things have to be sorted properly though. The SD1, we were going to be booking it in for an MOT this week, but we had idling issues with it when we actually got it up to temperature and things. We've actually found, I can't show you, it's up on the ramp at the moment, but we actually found fuel pressure was sky high, which is a bit strange because it's the original fuel pressure regulator that the car came in with, and it was running reasonably well on that. Obviously everything on the injection system gets disturbed when we I've done all the work on this car, extensive work on this car, but obviously if we were only doing engine work, then the EFI system would still get disturbed. Thankfully we do have a few flapper EFI spares, and we have managed to find a fuel pressure regulator that brought the pressure back down to about 35 psi rather than I think we were hitting 65 psi, which is obviously just maxing out the fuel pump. So this is now idling well. Emissions look really, really good, as we'd expect from a freshly rebuilt RPi engine. Obviously that is on the assumption that the injection system's working properly, but it seems to be good so far. The reason it's on the ramp at the moment is because the inhibitor switch is allowing us to start in gear still at the moment, so we're just taking a look at that. The reverse switch section of it is working fine, but the inhibitor section isn't, so we'll test the switch first and then check through the wiring if the switch is okay. It just means we've got to remove the switch. So this will actually be booked in for an MOT next week now. Glad we've got the engine running sorted out. So yeah, really exciting times on this one. It's almost getting there. You can see we've got the strips down the doors there fitted up as well. Headlining for this, the material is now on its way to us. It's been a couple of weeks wait for that, but that's now on its way, so we can get the headlining sorted, so we've got the right colour, or as close a colour match as we can get to what it would have had originally, and get it fitting nicely around the sunroof panel as well. So the 101, I think I did a couple of pictures of this at the beginning of the week. I think I uploaded them to Facebook, I'm trying to remember, I'm sure I did. So this has had brand new wheel cylinders, brand new shoes, something and nothing but brand new screws holding the drums on as well, why not while you're there. We've also done a brand new master cylinder, if I can get the door open from here. Yep, brand new master cylinder. Just made the job a lot easier to get the brakes bled up, which I'm told they are now all working as well as 101 drum brakes can work. So that's all good. I think Florin is just doing some exhaust work under here, just sorting out the brackets and things for the exhaust system. That's coming along really nicely as well. Couple of cars outside. We had a few pictures of this. It's a P6 3500S. Been into us before, been featured on our Facebook page before as well. It's got an RPi engine. Let me see if I can remember how to open the bonnet, open the glove box, pull the handle, and then find the catch. There. Right, I'm not going to be able to put the bonnet stay up because I've only got one hand. But yeah, RPi engine in there. The reason it's in at the moment is because the gearbox has an oil leak, so we're just replacing the seals on the selector shafts. I think that's where the oil is coming from. Obviously all the seals will get done anyway on the gearbox, but that's being done at the moment. So yep, engine's been driving nicely, customer's happy with it. It's actually quite local to us, and we've also got a rev counter because we did an ignition upgrade on this a little while back, again featured on our Facebook page, and since then the rev counter stopped working because it did work off of the amount of current that's drawn down the trigger wire on the coil, and I think that's called an RVC style rev counter. I've got it written down. I'll flag some text up on the screen if I've got that wrong at this moment in time. And we have now got a rev counter. The customer sourced another rev counter. We've sent it off and had it converted to what's called an RVI style rev counter, so it'll work on an electronic ignition. So that will be getting fitted as well while the car is here. Classic Range Rover. There should actually be a video that I've uploaded to this just prior to this video going up. That's all finished now. Unfortunately can't road test at the moment due to a braking issue. The pin for the brake pedal has actually fallen out due to a bad clip. Glad we found it while the car was stationary. But yeah, the Weber conversion from flapper EFI has gone really nicely. The car drives really well, and we'll do a video showing that next week. So just as a refresh, this went from flapper fuel injection. We've retained the original EFI fuel pump. We've used a fuel pressure regulator here to regulate down to carb pressure. The Edelbrock / Weber 500 CFM carburetor, which we've jetted accordingly for the 3.5 litre engine. It's an engine we built about three years ago, I think. Obviously it's covered quite low mileage because the car was going through extensive work. We've used our auto kickdown linkage for the carburetor here to then pull on the auto kickdown cable for the gearbox. This kickdown linkage will work on Holley carburetors as well. We obviously don't recommend you run a Holley carburetor. It doesn't really give you the flexibility you need on the road. Our choice is always the Edelbrock, but yeah, that kickdown linkage will work obviously on quite a few American cars and things like that as well, so that's worth noting. This has obviously had the full ignition upgrade as well, Magna Cool plug leads, new distributor, amplifier and Bosch coil, so it's now got the best spark output we can possibly get on there. This 50th anniversary, yes, we've got 2 in at the moment. This came in as a starting issue. It had been to a couple of garages, had another starter motor fitted. I think it then had another one fitted as well, but the customer broke down in it on his way to us. The car wouldn't start, so we had it covered here. It's been an ongoing issue for him for some time. Unfortunately, we've popped in the bin the little connector that was the issue. I'd like to have shown you, but I've made a mental note and chat to the guys in the workshop about us just in the future keeping little bits like that so we can actually show you in these updates. So the exciter wire to the starter motor had a really bad connection between the wire and the terminal itself, not the terminal on the starter, but the actual wire and the terminal. So where it was crimped, it was just getting really bad, very badly corroded. We popped a new terminal on there, started straight away, and it's not been a problem since. It's been through several starting scenarios. We pop out every now and again, just test it. We've got the engine up to temperature, lots of under bonnet temperature as well, just to ensure that that's not going to stump us. So yeah, starting issue is sorted, nice and simple. It's just a case of a bad connection. We're actually now going to, I'm now emailing the customer with a quotation for taking the LPG off of this, I think, because the LPG system isn't one that we would recommend and set up and use on this. Draw through is what we would use on this engine. Nothing wrong with that on the GEMS engine at all, as long as it's done properly. But the, what is that? Is a Voli single stage vaporizer isn't one we'd recommend to use. We use the OMVL tandem style vaporizer, which gives us best efficiency along with the performance at the top end as well, being a two-stage carburetor, two-stage vaporizer, much like a two-stage carburetor. But also this gas system hasn't been fitted incredibly well. There's no filter on the fuel line coming up to the regulator itself, the vaporizer itself. So there's also lack of clips on the pipework and that sort of thing. And being a 50th anniversary, kind of putting it back to more an original, just petrol-only system, what we've been discussing with the customer. He's actually got another P38 Range Rover as well, which he uses daily. So yeah, obviously a keen collector of Range Rovers. Well, hopefully that video's been quite informative and also shown you a little bit of what goes around at RPi Engineering on a weekly basis. The question we sometimes get asked is how many takes do these things take when you do these videos? This was take 2. The first one I messed up at the very beginning in the engine bay. So that's 12 minutes, 40 odd seconds in 2 takes. It's not bad for a Friday. Have a good weekend, everyone. Bye. It's running Piper 285 camshaft, Piper full vernier. No, it's not Piper full vernier at all.